So I started making t-shirts at like 14
Brooklyn Tech.
in Brooklyn Tech, my
Yeah.
high school.
Yeah, so
And so when I was making t-shirts, I was very much a little kid. And at 14, I looked like I was 9. So everyone thought I was like literally a boy genius or in high school selling t-shirts and stuff. And we had a brand with my friends called Bart's Brick Oven T-shirts. And we thought it was going to be the coolest brand in New York, and it was all about like pizza, brick oven T-shirts, fresh out the oven. And then after high school, or when high school ended, we all kind of split up in terms of the brand. But I had still been this kind of Kidsuper character where anything I wanted to do, I thought it was possible, and it was built off this idea that when you're young, the thing you want to be seems like there's no limits, and then the older you get, the less you want to be an astronaut, and the less you want to be a superhero or anything. So I wanted to keep that kind of spirit alive, and what I loved about it was you can't really box in Kidsuper. You can apply it to anything. Like you were saying yesterday, we were talking about like a Haribo would be cool.
Yeah.
Like a Kidsuper Haribo candy works perfectly.
Amazing, yeah.
So that was what I loved about the name, and as I kept doing things, it kept coming back up. Because as you know, picking a name is so difficult.
Very
because you're about to put your whole soul behind this one thing. So when I was starting Kidsuper, I had a name before that I was like, no, that name's good. But the more I kept doing it, I was like, wait, Kidsuper, it kind of described who I was at the time, or who I wanted to be. And what I love about it is like, since I called it Kidsuper, I have to be a superhero. I have friends that have names that are like Dirtbag, and so he kind of has to be a dirtbag, which isn't pushing him forward.
Yeah.
Mine was Kidsuper, so now I have to, go on a road trip across Europe and do superhero stuff.
My conversation with Guillaume and Hussein, we were talking about the fact that they were going to move to New York, and you said just before, like, you had the idea that I was very business.
Right.
While the thing that we have here in the Netherlands is that we see American stars in anything. If you're an actor, if you're an artist, like first thing they will say like, hey, Colm?
Yeah.
And then what do you do?
Right.
That's for us, it's like most of our friends yesterday would just chill.
Right.
They didn't ask you what you were doing, right?
Right.
So I think, is there a difference between that, or you have...
I felt that huge in New York and in LA.
Yeah.
All those places where it's because, and I think this is why I'm surprised you guys are all friends, and it's like there's like a selfish hunger to be something in America, and I think it's getting worse with Instagram, and like, as I was saying, there's like this desire to be successful, and now it's coming easier and cheaper and dumber, and there's a lack of craftsmanship, and so New York's hustle is like no other, but the quality of stuff I think now is super diluted with in being able to just be kind of a celebrity online from taking pictures of yourself, and then that now you're a designer or a brand.
And for these two guys, Hussein and Guillaume, coming to New York, what kind of advice would you give them?
I mean, we see them as very successful, and they just present themselves very. They're like, they look like they're on top of it. But I don't know why they want to come to New York.
I think, especially like if we look at the day-to-day route here, like of what we do here in the Netherlands, is a 9-to-5 mentality.
Yeah.
So the weekends, everyone is off, no one is working there, and they're young entrepreneurs, so they want to succeed. So like pushing themselves to the next step. And I think going to New York, that hunger that you're talking about, being selfish, and just being there for 6 months would change their way of thinking.
Yeah, I don't know. Are they trying to open up stores?
Also, like not open stores, but understand the American market better than working from here.
See, like the American market is get someone famous to wear your clothes.
Yeah, it's the same as like the Asian market. I don't know if I can.
So that's kind of, it's not like it's not a great way to make it, you know, now. No one's really making it off of ability and stuff. It's like, oh, Kanye West wore my shirt, now I'm a brand.
Yeah.
Oh, A$AP Rocky wore all my clothes, now I'm a brand. So, yeah, I think they're gonna see that part of New York and kind of how important or how people stress, oh, what do you do?
I sell my clothes to Kanye.
Or like, I have 100,000 Instagram followers, you know?
Yeah.
So once that becomes incredibly important in New York, that's why like I rarely go out.
Yeah, I see that, and you stay so true to yourself.
Yeah, but I'm different. I'm not.
Yeah.
I'm from New York, but I'm not from New York. You know, I moved a lot when I was little.
Yeah.
And what I enjoy is making stuff, and I don't really like drinking. I don't smoke pot. I'm like, you know, I'm a kind of an outsider when it comes to this. And I never saw myself as like a cool kid. And a lot of these brands and people are like cool kids starting ideas. I was like someone who started ideas who became a cool kid. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And I never felt that. So that's why another thing when we went to Comic Con, it was like, in our mind, we're not supposed to be there.
Yeah.
So we were like, this is awesome. And like we had just drove from New York to LA. So
How far is that?
That's like 3,000 miles.
How many hours is that to drive?
It's like 3 days or 4 days of driving.
Who was driving?
Well, Danny fell asleep while driving, so we had a detour, which he's not supposed to talk about, but we can include that in here.
Okay.
No, we all drove. It was literally like a week of travel.
Yeah.
It's like from here to like Russia.
Wow.
Or more, right? No, 3,000 miles? That's like 1,000,000 kilometers.
1,000,000 kilometers.
If I did the math correctly.
Crazy. No, but that's the same thing. Like, I think that most of the people that are in your kind of business, that are very structured, I think more in the fact like, yo, if we're going to New York, we need to buy the stickers. You see in everything that you do something new, creative, and exploration of new ideas, and you see it as a trip. And I think that's what I look up to if I look at you. Like, you see, like go to Amsterdam and then renting this car and seeing there's a new trip. That's, I love that a lot about you.
Yeah, I think, and it's not like we got into this making this stuff to be a successful business.
No.
I never cared about that stuff.
You're just enjoying life.
I just like making things.
Yeah.
And so it's cool. And even when we're talking about money, I think I make more money doing not clothes stuff. So like art, design, music videos for other people, I make more money. Or even just being a character. Now I get more money from like stupid social media stuff. So like the brand was always a passion project. So every little success of that is like, oh my God, this is just me fucking around.
and I get paid for that.
I get paid for it. So now it's cool. And what I like about it is since it's a passion project, I'm always trying to further myself as an artist and always putting like my drawings and the videos and the claymation and all that stuff, because that's what's important to me in terms of bettering myself as a creative rather than, oh, let me figure out manufacturing and get into 1 million stores and be like, oh, I need to make my quarterly
markup for this.
Markup, which like I don't think I've ever even thought of. I don't even know how much money I make per t-shirt. I just sell it for whatever Supreme sells their t-shirts for.
And then you think it's okay.
And then I'm like, okay, I know I didn't buy it for that much.
But
that's bad. I need to hire someone. The future is me hiring
Mo.
Mo wants to get hired, but
Mo wants to get hired. He's an artist. He's a stand-up comedian.
He's doing too much. He needs to focus. And we can't have two people doing too many things.
No, yeah.
But Mo's a good
creative man. Wow.
He's good finesser too.
Crazy.
Like
he just made a song here in the Netherlands while he was here.
And it's good.
And it's good. He used to be a musician.
I know, he's very successful at
everything he does.
Everything he does. And so he's got that like It's kind of, he's like New Zealand things, so you kind of take whatever he says very seriously.
He's very self-confident.
Yeah, he's like, gives you a little proper vibe where you're like, this guy probably studied design or something.
And then you see his apartment, and you're like,
I don't really understand his life. We often don't.
I also don't understand his life.
He also, the other day, he said he consults for the African Museum and gets $5,000 a month for it.
Probably you shouldn't say how much you're going to pay for it.
That is crazy, just to consult. And that's like one of his million ideas. No,
Yeah.
he said initially he wanted to come in at the business.
Yeah, that's the first thing that he was also telling me. Like,
Yeah. But I don't know what role.
Mm-hmm.
We need what's the third guy in Daily Paper?
Papagana, the
No.
sales guy.
No.
Abdurrahman, the design guy.
He's the one who does manufacturing and producing.
Design,
and stuff.
yeah.
He's the designer?
Yeah.
See, that's crazy. They have 3 dudes and only one
No, the team is big, but I think Abdurrahman is like from the initial group of like how he was the designer.
Because I was talking to Papa last night and he was like, none of us really design anymore.
I think Abdurrahman is still a #1 designer. So the Captain collection, that's
Yeah.
his name, that's his
Yeah.
nickname. So they have the Captain hoodie,
Okay.
and then his name on Instagram is Captain Oshima.
Mm.
So that's actually where that whole idea came from. So I think he's their true #1 designer, and then they have a bigger team. So they have Barry, who's now also part of the head design. They do women's, but
Crazy.
he has a very big influence in like where they are today. And
It's crazy just how big the team is.
yeah,
Like, for me, if I'm starting off,
yeah,
I would fire 2 of them.
yeah.
Because, like,
No, I think
how do you, it's like, oh, we need a head of sales. Like, we're selling.
no, it's just something that
Yeah.
went organically. If you know Hussein,
Right.
Hussein is the guy like very good in connection. He's very similar to Mo in my opinion.
They
They act physical, but like they are very one and the same. And I think Papagana has always been like in a time that Paris was like, I would say 6-7 years ago, Paris. He was literally living in Paris.
Okay.
So that was where everything was happening and still is happening. And Abdurrahman made one of their first tees and became part of that group, and he's always been doing that. I think that's interesting. If you look at like Filling Pieces team, like you have Leroy, he's also one of our core friends, and he's the head of marketing now. So I think that's I think that's a nice thing, like traveling, like, oh, we have this party, and then on Wednesday it was my part. Wednesday was my party. Thursday was Filling Pieces. No, Thursday was TNO. Friday Filling Pieces. Saturday Daily Paper. It's like on a row.
Yeah.
It's crazy.
I still can't believe you guys didn't all combine
Yeah.
and just call it like Nike.
As an agency. Yeah, call it Nike. Yeah.
Or some, it just seems to me that it would be the next, but I don't know. It's funny that you guys didn't do it. Or no one was like, hey, why don't we just join forces?
Yeah, would be a smart idea in production.
Production agency.
Product
You would just
agency.
run Netherlands.
But look at the New Guard group, like
Right.
there's actually almost the same, but they do it all together. Yeah, it's a good idea. Something
Yeah.
to think about.
Then, you could be the next New Guard group. Which I don't really understand that either. Just like a huge Italian production company.
Yeah, it's like an investing company with Marcello Boulon and Antonioli. And then you have Off-White, you have Palm Angels, Heron Preston. What else? Like a lot of them.
But that's just literally like picking a celebrity
Yeah,
and being like, you're a designer now.
yeah.
That's the problem. That's what
That-
America.
That's like this new wave of designing, right?
Yeah.
Like, yeah.
I think Instagram and all this is giving power to many people.
Yeah.
But sometimes it's giving power to just people that are famous.
Yeah, but I think looking at someone like a lot of people would hate on Virgil
Right.
and Off-White for the ideas that he has as just being a celebrity, or
Right.
I think with his background and everything that he has done, I am not his #1 client. Like I would
Right.
not wear a lot of like Off-White. I've never bought an Off-White item. But if I look at his design aesthetic, if I look at his creative direction, if I look at his ideas, it shows someone from today, right? And he traveled with Kanye over the last 10, 12, 15 years and met so many people, just like you now traveling the last years, right? And meeting the most creative people around the world. And with Kanye, he met everyone. So all those small sparkles of ideas that everyone was giving him in Spain, in Italy, in Amsterdam, right? Netherlands, it's like Belgium. And then taking that ideas back to Italy or the States and starting his own brand, that's what made him, in my opinion, very successful.
I think that people now want to get behind a person.
Yes.
And so I think it needed to be a human, and it needed to be someone that was famous.
You hit it right at that's definitely right.
And Virgil, I don't think Virgil's bad. I mean, like the quote thing, amazing. He can do it in everything. The slash thing, amazing. You know what I mean? He's created like 3 logos that now we can't do.
Yeah.
Deconstruct a shoe, you can't really do anymore because he did it. So I like it. There's a lot of off-white stuff that I like.
Yeah.
I just think the problem is it's giving people that aren't really that craftsman this designer thing.
Yeah.
Which, I mean, it's fine for some people that don't have opportunities to go to school. It's amazing. You know what I mean? They can just from being creative and can get on. But then there's the flip side. It's like, oh, you're famous. Oh, you're wealthy. Oh, you'd be a designer tomorrow.
It's almost the same time as if you look at music when auto-tune came in. Right? Everyone was an artist at that time. If you had the auto-tune, you can make a song. You had a nice song, right? And it's almost like the system is like on a platter. You can just make t-shirts, sweaters, whatever you want to make.
A lot of the successful musicians, none of them can play instruments or anything.
Yeah.
But it's also giving to a new generation of kids that are like learned it all laptop at home and didn't go to school and now they're talented as well.
Yeah.
So it's like a flip side. I think with all of that bullshit aside, I think talent and creativity still is desired and appreciated.
Yes, still key.
If you still can do that, you can still survive. And if you do have the talent, at the end of the day, when you do get on, it's like, oh man, it's because when you see like your favorite rapper and he can play like the violin, you'll be like, oh my god. Yeah. So I think, I mean, the world's changing, but I don't think it really affects what people should be focusing on, which is getting good at your craft. I think that will be appreciated forever.
Yeah, I think with the speed of time in this kind of thinking, it's actually, in my opinion, beneficial for me, a brand like mine or a brand like you, because we always have to be aware of the fact like, oh, this new best thing can come here. In 2 weeks, in a half year, in a year, in 2 years, and it makes you aware of like, okay, what is my core, and how do I actually want to succeed, or how do I want to run my business? I think that's always makes me always reflect my brand.
And if you're constantly comparing yourself to other brands, like you're gonna like Virgil 6 years ago was doing Pyrex t-shirts. 6 years ago, I was doing like hoodies. I was better than it, you know what I mean? And now he's there. So it's like if you're gonna constantly compare yourself, you're gonna stop. Yeah. And I think that's the biggest secret out of all of this is not stopping. It's just persistence. And then if you can survive, then you're a staple. Yeah. That's why I like people always think Supreme is there's Supremes at a level where it's like, oh my god, they might fall or die, but like Supreme's been around since almost when skateboarding was invented. Yeah. So if Supreme were to die today, in 5 years, it'd be cool because it's like they're the godfathers. They stayed around the longest. Yeah. That's why Stussie's still around.
That's the number one. I just wanted to like.
It's the first brand. Yeah. So no matter what, they'll still have that heritage of
being the first brand.
You're the first people to do this. Yeah. So that's why I think it's like just stick around long enough, and you're a brand that will be hard to really fall.
But Stassi just recently, I don't know if it's recently, but a year ago or something, they released this book with Ideas book. a world opened up for me, man. It was like he did exactly what all the young modern brands, but has the streetwear influence, doing today. Like he shot with all these photographers, like Willy van der Perre, Finit and something else. Like all these wonderful modern kind of like photographers, but from a streetwear kind of vibe. And I think reading into someone like that and understanding his business, of course, he would always be stapled as the best out there.
Yeah, so I think it's just, I mean, persistence, staying with it, and then, yeah, like as you were saying, being appreciative of every moment.
Yeah.
Like t-shirts got me to Amsterdam.
T-shirts got me into Amsterdam. I think that's the closure, man. Nice.